A colleague of mine played, I think it was on YouTube, a video of John Giorno delivering a poem, and it just intrigued me. His body language, the kind of vibrant, loose, out there kind of edgy delivery, it was captivating. I had to be here. So
this is a chance to see how poetry can be broader than just the lyrical type of work and images.
A poet of his stature, I thought we really should share him with other festivals, other events. So we've actually created with the Zoe, the event here at Hart House, and have an opportunity for the young generation to see him. I think it's really important they know where spoken word now is originated, really. And John Giorno is just a genius. So I'm hoping that there'll be a good audience for him, and many people will get to see him.
Okay, so I'm going to read to you from Rebuild, which is very different from John's work. It's a book about a lot of things, one of which is real estate, which is, I know, an excellent occasion for a book of poetry. I'm from Vancouver, and you can't walk, or you can't get into a conversation with anybody except for maybe a very, very small child without talking about the real estate market. And being a poet and never having ever I'm never going to own a house. So that's kind of where I was at when I was writing this book, of just seeing condos everywhere and knowing that I would never live in one. So this is called Boundaries. I don't think there's anything you really need to know. Boundaries. This is Dream City, built on shores still not seated. This is a city of tourists with mouths agape. These are my boundaries. The island in the Gulf, the sea they might call Salish, the land taken there, taken from another family. That line nearly faltered. And now a nephew with my father's grin, the last one. Between the people and the land, what have I to teach? To tolerate suburb? To let the land be covered with another's vision, then stretch our line out farther than the commuter trains, stop where the valley's silt turns hill, the residents nearly Albertan. The time is now and now and now, built so fast with minds less changed, from an expo to Olympics, a lifetime, more than his, most of mine. Boundaries. Dream of city, dream of built shores, dream of cedar handed over, dream of open mouths. Dream of land return, dream of descendants, dream of his open mouth. Dream of the end of the line, dream of almost, dream of his return to ownership, to fast, faster, fastest. Ocean views, and the only thing you need to know about this, it's one of my condo poems, is a few years ago in Vancouver, feet in running shoes kept washing up on shore. And we could never, nobody figured out why. I did try to figure this out with my friend using only our wits and the internet, but we didn't get very far. So these shoes are littered throughout this book. And it's in this one. Ocean views. The Pacific swells and contracts, and that's the way we like it. Visible, breathing. It's a necessary piece. It's presence. For all we know, those towers are empty, owned and empty, and blocking our rightful views, which impede the views of the tower next door. If we are to be ruined by development, let the rubble at least be tidy. Let it lie far from the ocean and views of it. Let the debris of the shores be intentional and thoughtful. A seashell, a shoe, even the shoe. Let the shoe lie rife with intention. It's hard to imagine the condos as unintentional. I can't see myself in one. I can't afford the view. I can't help. I can't help wanting to. So when you live in Vancouver and you live underground, you have nightmares about real estate. Dream development. I stir from a dream of Vancouver with a mouthful of crumbling stucco. Shaken, I call my realtor, who I discover has closed her last deal and moved to Dubai, where the marina looks remarkably like False Creek. It's intentional, duplication. I turn, and still I'm in the same place. Dizzy smack against the wall. Broken bottles catch the light and my skin. If you want to build the city beautiful, you need to start with quality materials and then replicate them until beautiful. Or else you hit the wall, you hit the wall, you hit the wall. Okay, this is a little suite called Realty Check. And I think I'm going to end with this, so you can get back to the exciting poetry. Realty check. There is a photograph of the neighborhood in question. I left the file on your desk. Shot from above, the house flattens into the form of the house beside it. Shot from above, the particularities of people are reduced to their scalps. This makes it easier for the invisible hand to turn the key in the bulldozer. There was no one in the room who could provide a decent answer. Then there was only rubble, no more room. If we keep repeating the theme of the house, it will become neighborhood. The repetition of a characteristic becomes the act of building character. They all look the same, sure, but it's a good kind of same. In holding each other, we imitate a chain link fence. Our opponents, singled out, lack vetoes. They shouldn't throw stones. The right, it isn't yours, it isn't mine. We dare you to step forward, to step across this line. In order to encourage the potential buyer to close the deal, the realtor places the pen on the line she wants him to sign. The desire already there. A person looking for a house already lives there. We do not need experts in rhetorical strategy, only cookies to bring hunger to the home. Crumbs on her lips, on her lap, clears his voice. Whether he signs or not, she has made his refusal a choice. Thanks.
So now it's my pleasure to welcome George Elliot Clarke, who may be known to many of you. In addition to being a poet, playwright, and literary critic, Clarke is the E.J. Pratt Professor of Canadian Literature here at the University of Toronto. He taught English and Canadian Studies at Duke University, 1994 to 1999. During 1998 to 99, he was appointed the visiting Seagram's Chair in Canadian Studies at McGill University, then became Professor of English at U of T in 1999, before being appointed E.J. Pratt Professor in 2003. As a writer, George Elliot Clarke has published in a variety of genres. His execution poems won the Governor General's Award for Poetry in 2001. In addition to winning awards, the work of George Elliot Clarke has won critical recognition and honorary doctorates.
And I thank all of you for coming out this evening and affirming the importance of poetry for illuminating our condition and giving us something closer to the truth than what we normally get from media, especially. To the poet. This is in the voice of, it's not in the voice of, it's actually Alexander Pushkin, translated by Constance Garnett in the 1930s and retranslated by me. So I'm not translating from Russian, I'm translating from English. But this is Alexander Pushkin. To the poet. Poet, damn you if you crave public love. People clap raucously, then fickle stop. Fools don scholars' tassels, braid their critiques, while crowds hoorays, chill or scald your marrow. Best to stand, Caesar calm, statue austere, its majesty, yes, to dwell defiant, castled in your own soul, free and aloof. Perfect your flowers, distill their dream liqueurs, but ignore all praise of your past confections. Judge for yourself your vineyard's hitty wine. Your strict taste dictates its vintage sweetness. Do you want joy? Let the pack bay and howl. Let them snarl and spit on your altar's flames and breathe your temple's triumphant perfumes. This next poem is one that was written just for fun, and it rhymes. So, and it's called the Cisioni alla maniera d'Armando Trovajoli, an Italian composer. It's one of those poems you write in the middle of the night, so I won't say anything more about it. When you jet on down to Basque Biarritz, you and your wallet willingly go splits, where the Atlantic flows in starts and fits, and spirits are spruced up with a lime spritz, and bikinis look best as two teeny bits. Glamour dazzles gaudy, doubled with glitz, and you are as pleased as anyone gets in a disco gyring to a 60s blitz of hot soul during which no cripple sits, while young girl moans and her paramour spits, his hands all over her perky tits, and lovers groan until the starlight quits, with manly pegs cementing female slits, or plumbing tongues strumming so many clits, and sex acts mimic tragic comic skits, and each bull snorts and each flighty quail flits, and wild water flails, wails losing its wits at the grand plage where each wave hits, and foams and frosts and sand craters and pits, while the lighthouse beckons somber poets to unsheathe on stilo as time permits, and scribble epics that croon like sonnets the apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz. At the casino cashing in her chits, spy B. Bardot, then those Kennedy shits, then pasty slumming Sorbonne lit crits. Some of them are twats, all of them are twits, plus film stars fading each one a ditz, confusing Australia and Austerlitz, leaving behind extreme close-ups of zits, waistlines gone haywire, careers on the fritz. Make sure you quaff Pelforth Broom, never Schlitz. Unlike Yanks and Yankee wannabe Brits, Canadians come with camouflage kits. Each murderer croons, each assassin knits, and Tories bid down with pinkos and grits. This poem recycles the beginning. It's when you jet on down to Basque Biarritz. Thank you. And now for something completely different and quick. Sestina, April. Sestina. You repeat the last word of each stanza. Each stanza is 6 lines. And so you repeat the words in succession, the last word of each stanza, of each line rather, until you get to the end when all 6 rhyming words, so to speak, get used in one 3-line stanza. So that's the form of the poem. It's 39 lines. Sestina, April. After gods we surrender to lovers, seeking beauty that always satisfies, to revel in sunlit obscenities, every gay April in the spring tumult, to engage in creamy crimes, and ivory music as indestructible as sunlight. Something there is about April that satisfies, even if one suffer physical obscenities, like those that drive priests to tumult and exultation in the filthiest crimes, those conducted far from sunlight, in those murky lairs reserved for lovers. But holy are the bid-time obscenities, where lover pitches lover to a tumult, spicing bland sins with sugary crimes, in moonlight, dawn, and even April sunlight. Thus lovers actually behave like lovers, having each other until the other satisfies. Nature in April floods in tumult. Its white churn washes away crimes. Its clarity is like water and sunlight, the ideal assemblage for real lovers, who only turn away once love satisfies, once they have tasted joyous obscenities. In April, the young commit no crimes, but are as clean and honest as sunlight, and love each other as blamelessly as lovers, discovering like saints the way sin satisfies, excusing each other of any obscenities, while each one milks a tidal tumult. What is the month of love and sunlight? Ask all those who play April lovers. For 30 refreshing days it satisfies all those poets of obscenities who find passion a physical tumult and conceive kisses as delicious crimes. Tell all the lovers that April satisfies, that its obscenities mount a glorious tumult, and that all its crimes dissolve to sunlight. And I'm going to shut up by quoting James Brown. This is James Brown's Rhetoric, a poem made up of the titles of his hits of the late 50s, early 60s. Think, I'll go crazy. I know it's true. Baby, you're right. I've got to change. It hurts to tell you. I got the feeling, I've got to cry. Don't let it happen to me. Please, please, please. It's a man's world. I got you bewildered. I won't plead no more. You're mine, you're mine. I'll never, never let you go. You made me love you. It was you. There must be a reason. You've got the power. Try me, prisoner of love.
This is a poem that's called Thanks for Nothing. And I started writing it on my 70th birthday in December of 2006. Thanks for nothing on my 70th birthday. I want to give my thanks to everyone for everything. And as a token of my appreciation, I want to offer back to you all my good and bad habits as magnificent priceless jewels, wish-fulfilling gems, satisfying your every need and want. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thanks. May every drug I ever took come back and get you high. May every glass of wine and vodka I ever drank come back and make you feel really good, numbing your nerve ends, allowing the natural clarity of your mind to flow free. May all the suicides be songs of aspiration. Thanks that bad news is always true. May all the chocolate I've ever eaten come back rushing through your bloodstream and make you feel happy. Thanks for allowing me to be a poet, a noble effort doomed but the only choice. I want to thank you for your kindness and praise. Thanks for celebrating me. Thanks for the resounding applause. Thanks for taking everything for yourself and giving nothing back. You were always only self-serving. Thanks for exploiting my big ego and making me a star for your own benefit. Thanks that you never paid me. Thanks for all the sleaze. Thanks for being mean and rude and smiling at my face. I am happy that you robbed me. I am happy that you lied. I am happy that you helped me. Thanks. Grazie. Merci beaucoup. May you smoke a joint with William and spend some intimate time with his mind, more profound than any book he wrote. I give enormous thanks to all my lovers, beautiful men with brilliant minds, Bob, Jasper, Ugo. May they come here and make love to you. And may my many other lovers of totally great sex, countless lovers of boundless, fabulous sex, countless lovers of boundless, fabulous sex, countless lovers of boundless, fabulous sex, in the golden age of promiscuity, may they all come here and make love to you. If you want. May they hold you in their arms, bawling to your heart's delight, bawling to your heart's delight, bawling to your heart's delight. May all the people who are dead, Alan, Brian, Cookie, Jack, and I do not miss any of you. I don't miss any of them, no nostalgia. It was wonderful that we loved each other, but I do not want any of them back. Now, if any of you are attracted to any of them, may they come back from the dead and do whatever is your pleasure. May they multiply and be the slaves of whomever wants them, satisfying your every wish and desire. But you won't want them as masters, as their demons. May Andy come here, fall in love with you, and make each of you a superstar. Everyone can have Andy, everyone can have Andy, everyone can have Andy, everyone can have an Andy. Huge hugs to my friends that betrayed me. Every friend became an enemy sooner or later. Deep kisses to my loves that failed. I am delighted you are vacuum cleaners sucking everything into your dirt bag. You are none other than a reflection of my mind. Thanks for the depression problem and feeling like suicide every day of my life. And now that I'm almost 75, I'm happily almost there. 20 billion years ago, in the primordial wisdom soup, beyond comprehension and indescribable, something without substance moved slightly and became something imperceptible, moved again and became invisible, moved again and became a particle, and particles moved again and became a quark, and again and became quarks, moved again and became protons and neutrons and the 12 dimensions of space. Tiny fireballs of primordial energy, bits tossed back and forth in a game of catch between particles, transmitting electromagnetic light and going really fast, 40 million times a second, where the pebble hits the water. This is where the trouble began. Something without substance became something with substance. Why did this happen? Because something substanceless had a feeling of missing out on something, not getting it, not getting it, not getting it, not getting something when there was nothing to have. From that primordially endless potential to modern day reality, 20 billion years later, has produced me, and my stupid, grasping mind has made me and you and my grasping mind. May Rinpoche and all the great Tibetan teachers who loved me come back and love you more. May they hold you in their wisdom hearts, bathe you in all-pervasive compassion, give you pith instructions, and may you, with the diligence of Olympic athletes, do meditation practice, and may you, with great confidence, realize the true nature of mind. America, thanks for the neglect. I did it without you. Let us celebrate poetic justice. You and I never tried to do anything and never succeeded. Thanks for introducing me to the face of the naked mind. Thanks for nothing.
So I have a few questions. Let's begin with thinking about performance poetry, and think about that, and then poetry on the page. What are the politics surrounding performance poetry and poetry in print? And so, while not everybody here is a performance poet, we have had 3 really powerful performances. And what can you say about the power of oral language and performance, and also what it means, and the power of written poetry, how each moves out into the world differently? So you can reflect on your own work, and if you want to say some things more broadly about poetry, that would be great. So I don't know who feels like plunging in.
John?
I have a theory that there's no such thing as a great poem. That what a poem is when it works, it's a mirror, and you particularly understand this when you perform. It's a mirror, a very clear mirror that the audience, or each person in the audience, is seeing themselves. In other words, they're seeing the wisdom, or whatever you want to call it, inherent in their own mind. I mean, they think it's a great poem, or it's a great this, or whatever. But there's no such thing. It's just, that's what a great poem is, I think. It's this very pure mirror. And sort of an example of that is, I mean, there's countless in history, but like Allen Ginsberg's Howl. I was there in 1956 when Allen wrote it. I met him in 58, but when I read it in 56, it transformed my mind. I mean, I went over the top, and as it did for a million people. Now, when I ask the young kids, did they read Howl? They say, well, yes, it's a very nice poem. But it's joined the Museum of Great Poems, like Rembrandt and whatever, and so it's still a mirror. It still has this great accomplishment. That's an example that it was really a mirror at the time, and so.
I'm just going to follow up on what you just said by saying that when you were performing, sharing with us this great poem about the tree and the leaves and good people and bad people and the ugly tree and beautiful tree and so on, I could not help but first I thought about Ginsberg in connection with your poem, but I also thought of it being an accidental allegory about the war on terror. That's how I interpreted it, or wanted to interpret it, is that the people trying to destroy the beautiful tree and so on and so forth seemed to me to be thinking along the same lines as the architects of a war on an abstract noun, a war that therefore becomes a war of terror instead of a war on terror. All right, but anyway, that's some of the reflection that your poem gave me.
I was saying to John before we started, I noticed that he didn't bring any papers with him, and I told him, well, and he said that he memorized all his poems, and he memorizes them while he writes them, and all I could say is, I don't think my poems are good enough to be memorized, but no, it's not that. I don't know. It's a different kind of poetry, I guess. Why don't you, like, what's your relationship with the page now? Like,
Well, for me, the page is,
I know, that's totally gonna get me.
The page is really important. And for me, a poem arises as a word, which in your head, right? And the very next step is you see it as a word, you know? And then you write it down, whatever, sort of, it goes from there to the page. So that's the most important point, coming from the mind to the page. And then it's a matter of what poets do with it. What I do with it, why I memorize, is that when I'm writing it, I say them over again to work out the bad qualities. I mean, when you say something, you just know what's right or wrong. And I just work over and over again. And it's sort of a habit I got into, so that's why I do it, and it's the way I like to.
Well, it seems like your poetry has like a much stronger relationship with your body, and I think George's too than I think mine does. Mine's the disembodied poetry.
Because I don't think there's any. I mean, there's this genre called performance poetry. I don't understand. I mean, a poet is a poet, and a poem is a poem, and a poet does it in different ways. You know, we're all different, but it's being a poet, and it starts on the page and can end there. But it has a different life. Yes, in the last 50 years.
Yeah, I would say every reading is a performance. I mean, every reading, especially out loud, even if you're not doing anything but just simply moving your lips, it's still a performance. You're making those words come alive, and you're embodying those words like an actor embodies the words of a script and performs them. And I think the reason why we have a genre supposedly called spoken word or performance poetry is because, despite all of the good work that modernism did, one of the bad things it did was split people from the text, from the poem, and make it seem as if it's something that has to be studied, as opposed to be something that should be embodied. And I think that except for the most extreme forms of language poetry should be embodied. It's got to be embodied. It's got to live inside you in order to be moving or inspirational or challenge to an audience of one sort or another. So anyway.
This panel gives us a chance to think about the cultural differences between poetry in the States and in Canada, and the different traditions and legacies in our two countries. So I want to ask you how you see poetry and its narratives working within each country. How do you work with and push against notions of nationhood, or if you want to expand that to neighborhood. I think of Sachiko writing very interestingly about Vancouver, and now living in Toronto and still writing about Vancouver.
It's that's interesting because, well, especially with Vancouver in terms of Canadian poetry, Vancouver is a complete, it's like its own country in terms of its poetics, right? They have, I was involved with the Kootenai School of Writing there that has a lineage that comes down from the Tish poets and who are influenced by the Black Mountain School, and a lot of them, it has much more of a connection to America than I think than the rest of Canada. So as like the kind of free verse lyric narrative was kind of, the literate vernacular was kind of being, in the 60s, was in the rest of Canada, this whole different thing was happening in Vancouver. So, and I feel that very strongly when I go back to Vancouver, that kind of pressure to be more academic and more theory-based and that more engaged in that kind of way. Whereas in Toronto, I feel kind of like I can kind of do what I want and there's fewer rules here. So I kind of like being here a little bit more sometimes. So, but yeah, that's it for me. Yeah, thanks.
Well, I think that Sachiko just touched on a fundamental truth of English Canadian poetry, which is it's very regional. It's regional everywhere, all across the country. Toronto is its own region. Vancouver is its own region in a sense. The East Coast scene, which I'm connected to, is also very different. And you're right, I think that BC is more American influenced, and the East Coast still has a bit more of a British influence, still. Although I think that influence really ends with Dylan Thomas, and not much beyond him. But nevertheless, that influence is there, and it continues. And that's simply because of the fact that this is the world's second largest country, 5.5 different time zones, and each and every province was its own colony, separate and distinct, and having its own independent relationship to London, not to each other. And this is something I think, I'm not going to get off in a big, geographical, geopolitical discussion of Canada, but I will say this, that I think that we need to understand the reason why the provinces have such strong individual identities is because they existed in some cases for hundreds of years before Canada did. And there was no reason for somebody in Prince Edward Island to say, oh, I better stop being a PE Islander now that Canada is there. Why? Why should they stop? They've been PE Islanders and Ile Saint Jeaners for a long time before Canada got created. Yeah, there we go. So, and then Nova Scotia, Cape Breton, blah, 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 blah. And Alberta, Saskatchewan, same thing. Ontario even Ontario, Upper Canada, Canada West, all those nice things. Totally different from the other provinces. So I think our national, in terms of English Canada, our national poetry tradition is actually one of strong regional influences. Even though we like to call each other provincial, we're all provincial. There. And I don't mean that in a negative way either. I think being provincial is actually a great way to be cosmopolitan. If you think about it, every Canadian poet is hyphenated, either by ethnicity or by language or by province. You're always hyphenated. And I think that's actually a strength in our poetry, not as something that's a detraction, but a great strength in our poetry, that every Canadian poet has more than one identity to draw upon. That's a great strength.